Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about what are the top 5 things that you're going to need for winter and cold weather backpacking. So as you may know from the last video, if you haven't seen it, I will link it. I recently failed at backpacking. However, it was not because of the temperatures, and we were sitting around 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is below freezing. And so there are a few things that are going to be assets to success in any camping trip, such as the proper size backpack, the proper tent, food and cooking solutions. But specifically for this, we're going to be talking about cold weather backpacking or camping. So let's start out with number 1, which is socks. So it's important to keep your body warm, and one of the best ways to do so is through a hat, because a lot of heat escapes through your head and through your feet. And so you're going to be wearing hopefully boots or shoes of some kind, but then it's very important what socks you choose. So these socks are merino wool. They are a moisture wicking type sock, however they are extremely thick and very warm. In my other hand, I have a pair of alpaca socks, which are also extremely warm and moisture wicking. So while you're hiking in cold temperatures, a big thing that you need to worry about is how much moisture your body is creating. The more you sweat, the wetter you are, which means the colder you can get. So it's important to wear wicking clothes that are going to keep that moisture off your body, keep you dry so that you can stay warmer. And that is especially important in your socks. Your socks are trapped inside your boots, and your feet need to be able to breathe in some way. If your feet are getting wet, gross, then when you are going to bed and you take your boots off, your feet are going to be cold and they are going to get cold a lot faster. So it's important to invest in quality pairs of socks that are made out of alpaca, made out of merino wool, that are going to be able to keep your feet dry and warm in these colder temperatures. Number 2, we're going to jump to the base layers. So if you saw my previous video talking about fall weather riding gear, cold weather riding gear, I talked about base layers and how important they are to block out wind and keep body heat in. So we have a thinner base layer that's just like a spandexy material that is really just going to be blocking out a lot of that air and having just another layer on your body. It's not going to be super insulating, but it will do a decent job at being a windbreaker. Then the other choice is something like these, which are a fleece material. So they are going to keep you a lot warmer while you're out hiking if you need them, but especially for sleeping. This is what I choose for sleeping. I stay plenty warm while hiking, and normally being in some kind of like long sleeve t-shirt or even a light jacket is going to be fine while I'm hiking, but then when I'm going to bed, I want to be able to stay a little bit warmer. And using a pair of fleece base layers really traps in that body heat, gives your body a chance to maintain its temperature, and is going to make you feel a lot more comfortable while sleeping out in those cold temperatures. So, speaking of cold temperatures, you're going to need something to sleep in. Most times throughout the year, I'm using a sleeping bag that is designed for 35 to 40 degrees. It is a triple season bag. It is a little bit warmer because I prefer not to go camping in the summer. I tend to run warmer and I'm not super comfortable in those temperatures. So I want something that's going to be good for spring and something that's going to be good for fall. And so 35 to 40 degrees is something that I am very comfortable in. And so with that being said, there are 2 main types of sleeping bags. You have a mummy bag, which is like this, and you have rectangular bags. So rectangular bags are pretty much the same material, but like a folded over sheet, and it is just a big rectangle. And so then the top is completely open with a zipper down the side, sometimes across the bottom. And so you're just in there, but then you have all of that open top for heat to escape, and that's not really advantageous when you're dealing with colder temperatures. So what you're going to be looking for is something like this, a mummy bag. So it has this little trap right here that goes over your head and actually has some elastic pieces that you're able to pull tighter that will close down that opening to really trap all of that heat inside the bag with you. For when it gets especially cold, you're gonna want something like this. So this is my other mummy bag. However, this is a 0 degree bag. As you may be able to see on the tag here, this is a 0 degree, -18 Celsius bag that has a few more features that my 3-season bag does not have. So it has this much stronger Velcro seal here to help make sure that your zipper stays up in the middle of the night so that way it isn't working its way down. As well as inside, it has this second layer of fabric in front of where your neck goes. So this second layer here actually seals around your shoulders and then sits around your neck. So this is just providing a more tight seal around your neck so that way no heat is escaping out. And then you still have your hood that goes over top of your head and traps in all of that warm air. I have used this bag in some extremely cold temperatures and was toasty warm and slept through the night with no issues, and that was without a base layer. On our previous camping trip, Greta used my 0 degree bag because she's a little bit colder, and I used my 3-season bag with wearing a base layer, and both of us were very comfortable in our respective bags for as cold as it actually was for those brief 2 hours of sleeping before the animals came. Now let's get on to our fourth thing, which is outerwear. So I'm gonna be breaking outerwear into our last two things. So we're gonna be starting with jackets. Since in most weather, I'm gonna be fine in a t-shirt. When it starts to get a little bit colder, I then work my way up to a long sleeve shirt. And then from there, I'll go with something like this. This is an avalanche quarter zip, and it has a little bit of like a Sherpa material lining that is just a single fabric, long sleeve quarter zip pullover. And this thing right here traps in so much body heat that it isn't even funny, and I have to take this off when we start hiking because I get too warm. This is one of my favorite pieces of clothing that I've picked up because not only is it extremely warm, but it also looks pretty good. So not only are you feeling good, but functionally it has a little bit higher arm holes so you have freedom of movement for your arms, and it's still long enough in the body for me. Being 6'2", it's hard to find clothes that are long enough. So that way if I'm reaching up for something high, my jacket isn't coming up to my chest and exposing my stomach. Now, as we get a little bit colder and I need something on top of that, I will grab my puffy jacket from Columbia. This one has been around for a little while, and so it's started to get some wear, get some stains, but it is still one of my favorite things to wear. They have this Omni-Heat reflective material on the inside. I don't think it actually does anything, but still reflective, so I guess if I was ever trapped somewhere, I could put this to the outside and hopefully use it as a reflective source. But with the puffy jacket and the quarter zip at my disposal, it's very hard for me to get cold or stay cold while I'm out in those below freezing temperatures. Now, I have other pieces of clothing that I also use if I'm just spending some time outside. I have heavier flannels that I'll wear if I'm doing some woodworking or something like that and I want to be outside. I also have a sweatshirt made by Black Rifle Coffee Company that is a woobie material, which a woobie is a poncho liner if you don't know. And so this is what it looks like. So has a hood, long sleeve, has little elastic bits around the waist and the sleeves, but this thing is, I'm pretty sure, a large, and it is quite big. However, it's also very thin. It's very hard to show how thin it is, but like you're able to get definition of my fingernail while looking at it from the outside. For as thin as woobies are, they are extremely good at keeping in heat. And so this is something that I really only wear outside because if I wear it inside, I start to sweat too much. However, Greta is a huge fan of stealing this. For as much as she doesn't like camo, she steals this all the time because she knows if she puts it on, she's going to be extremely warm. Okay, let's get into our fifth and final thing, which is another section of outerwear, which I briefly mentioned already is a hat, and the other piece is a pair of gloves. So with wind chill, with hiking, with cold temperatures, there's a lot of movement happening and there's a lot of opportunities for your body to lose body heat. One of the places that you lose the most body heat statistically is through your head, and so a great way to prevent that is by wearing some kind of hat. So currently I'm just wearing a Carhartt beanie. Most of the times that is what I will choose, is just a beanie of some kind. Now, if you're more interested in a casual hike of some kind, really any hat will do, but just something that is going to be able to trap your heat in and keep you warmer while you're out on the hike. So you can go with something like a felt brim hat, an appropriate colored baseball hat, or maybe even a swim... Oh, no, don't wear a swim cap. Now, for the other piece that I mentioned, a pair of gloves. And so this comes down a lot to personal preference. So I find that my hands get very cold. I don't have the best circulation in my hands. And so sometimes gloves are not enough and I actually need to wear a pair of mittens. When I go snowboarding, I wear mittens because I know that my hands just get way too cold with all of that snow. But on a hike, most times, I'll choose to go with a pair of gloves. For our backpacking this past weekend, I just wore a lighter pair of mechanics gloves. Or you can step up to something like these work gloves that I use, which have this leather exterior, but they also have this fabric, and then they're filled with Thinsulate, which Thinsulate is a brand name, and it is a type of filling to provide warmth and padding to your gloves. But these have a full leather palm, so they are very good at keeping water out, and as you can probably see, they're a little bit dirty because I have reached into fires with them, and they are extremely durable and probably one of the better purchases I've made for being only probably around 20 bucks. So with that, that is the 5 things that you need to be looking for if you're planning on heading out into the woods to do some cold weather backpacking or hiking. Now, if you haven't already, make sure to give the video a thumbs up because this is pretty good information that's definitely beneficial for others to hear. If you have a piece of equipment that you think is more beneficial than one of the 5 types that I listed here, please leave that down in the comments below and I would be happy to include that in a future video. And if you could hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell next to it, that way you can stay up to date on all the videos as they're coming out. That would warm my heart in a way that no base layer ever could. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.